Everybody have your DBQ packet open to page 11, understanding the question, and that's the page with the three little buckets at the bottom. Okay, the first thing we want to do is we want to just fill in number 1. What is the analytical question asked by this mini-Q? Well, the analytical question is simple. It's Hammurabi's code, was it just? So we're going to copy that right off of the cover page. Hammurabi's code, was it just? Now you might be thinking, was it just what? Well, in this sense, just doesn't mean only, it means fair. So, what terms in the question need to be defined? Well, the first term we want to define is the word just. And in this sense, what did we say just meant? We said it meant fair. And the second word that we want to define is the word code. So we'll underline code, underline just. Down here we'll put code means a set of laws or rules. Set of laws or rules. So Hammurabi's code was Hammurabi's laws, and was it just means was it fair or not. So how do we rewrite the question in our own words? Well, we could just simply put, was Hammurabi's set of laws fair for everyone? Or not? So copy that down. Was Hammurabi's set of laws fair for everyone or not? Now down here we've got 3 buckets. And the buckets are for different categories or different paragraphs in our essay. So according to the cover page, we've got 3 types of laws. Take a look back at the cover page. The documents listed are document A. We're going to look at the stone stealing. Document B, called an epilogue. But look, document C is all about family law. Document D is about property laws. Document E is personal injury laws. So this is laws governing how the family is supposed to work. This is laws talking about who gets to own property and how your property is protected. And these are laws about what if somebody gets injured. All right, whose fault is it and what's the penalty? So we're going to name our buckets one of each of these 3 types of laws. So we're going to go back and we're going to, on the first bucket, we're going to put family law. And now be really neat with this. And then down under it, we're going to put fair / unfair. Now later, you're going to circle one of those 2 words, depending on what you think when you read family law. In the middle bucket, we'll put property law. And the same thing underneath. Fair / unfair. Now our third bucket is named what? Personal injury law. So we're going to put personal injury. Okay, we can put a little law right here, personal injury law. And underneath, we write our 2 choices, fair, unfair. And that's all we want to do on that page right there. Everybody with me? Okay, let's go to the next page. So we flip it over to document A, the stone stealing. Now look at the source here at the top. This is where this stone stele comes from. It says the stone stele of Hammurabi's code from the ancient artifacts collection of the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, around 1754 BCE. Now, the Louvre Museum is where this gigantic rock is right now today. Okay, but the rock was created and made and carved around 1754 BC. So that makes this a primary source. This is the real thing. We can look right at it. So that's a primary source. And it says here, note, the stele carved from black diorite stands more than 8 feet tall and weighs 4 tons. This photograph shows the top third of the stele. So even in this photograph, from here to here is only the top third of the stele. There's 2 more thirds. So this is a huge, massive stone, 8 feet tall, 4 tons, 8 feet. 4 tons. 4 tons, that's 8,000 pounds. That's a lot. Now let's take a look at what the stele shows us. This picture here is Hammurabi standing in front of somebody sitting down. Well, it says here that the carving at the top of the stele shows Hammurabi standing before Shamash, the god of justice. Shamash, the god of justice. Underline that. Shamash, the god of justice, who is seated on his throne. Shamash is instructing Hammurabi in the law. So the picture, let's underline that. Shamash is instructing Hammurabi in the law. So the picture wants people to believe that Hammurabi got his law by talking to the god of justice. Below the 2 figures, let's go to the next section. Below the 2 figures is the prologue. Now prologue means introduction. So let's put a little arrow out here and put introduction. That's what a prologue is. Introduction or intro. In the prologue, Hammurabi lists the names of the gods, saying that they have given him the right to rule. So let's underline that. Hammurabi lists the name of the gods, saying that they have given him the right to rule. So Hammurabi is telling all the people on his stele, everybody who reads the stele, he's telling them, the gods have given me the right to rule, so you better listen up. Let's keep reading here. The prologue, like the rest of the code, is written in wedge-shaped cuneiform letters that have been carved into the stone. Okay, that's no big deal. Over here to the right of the picture is a blow-up section to show you what cuneiform looks like. And down at the bottom, back to the left of the picture, below the prologue or introduction, closer to the base, are the 282 laws, organized by theme, including family law, agriculture, theft, and professional standards. There are a total of 3,500 lines of writing covering both sides of the stele. Then over here it says, down here at the bottom, following the laws is an epilogue in which Hammurabi states how the laws should be carried out. So an epilogue is sort of like a conclusion. So write conclusion there after epilogue. Okay? So that's the stone stele. Let's turn over. Now we're going to skip document B. So we're not going to use document B because it doesn't talk about the laws. It talks about how wonderful Hammurabi is. Let's take a look at document C. Document C. Now, according to our cover sheet, document C is family law. So let's write family law at the top. These are supposed to be laws about family. Now the source, look at the source. It comes right from Hammurabi's code, and again, 1754 BCE, so it's a primary source. They copied this, they just took this from cuneiform and translated it into English for us. Note, there are 282 laws in Hammurabi's code. The numbers below refer to their order on the stele. So let's take a look at Law 129. If a married lady is caught in adultery with another man, they shall bind them and cast them into the water. Now, adultery means cheating on your husband or wife. So we're going to write here cheating on, and we'll just use the word spouse, because your spouse could be your husband or your wife. So cheating on spouse, they shall bind them and cast them into the water. That means they're going to drown them. So we're going to put drown them right here. So basically, the penalty for cheating on your husband or your wife is death. They're going to execute you by drowning you in the water. Is that fair? What do you think? Is it fair to the person who did the cheating, or is it too harsh? Is it fair to the person who was cheated on? Is it fair to the rest of society? Does it send a strong enough message to society? Or it certainly sends a pretty strong message to society, doesn't it? You cheat, and this is what happens to you. Let's look at Law 148. If a man has married a wife, and a disease has seized her, let's just underline that. And let's put up here, really sick. Really sick. If a man has married a wife and she is really sick, if he is determined to marry a second wife, he shall marry her. He shall not divorce the wife whom the disease has seized. She, that's his first wife, she is the first wife, she shall dwell, that means live, she shall live in the house they have built together, and he shall maintain her as long as she lives. And maintain her means care for her. He's going to make sure she has food and shelter and that she's cared for as long as she lives. Okay? Is that fair? Is it fair to the husband? He gets to marry a second wife. Is it fair to the first wife? She gets a home. Is it fair to the new wife? She has to live with the second wife, and it's possible that she may be the one caring for the first wife. I don't know. But is it fair? Too harsh? Too lenient? You're going to get a chance to decide. Let's look at Law 168. If a man has determined to disinherit his son and has declared before the judge, I cut off my son, the judge shall inquire into the son's past, and if the son has not committed a grave misdemeanor, the father shall not disinherit his son. Now let's clear this up. Disinherit means taken out of the will, or how about this? Leave no land or money. Back then, when a man died, all of his land and his money went to his sons. And if he had more than one son, they had to divide it up evenly. Well, if a man determines that he wants to disinherit his son, he goes to the judge and says, I cut off my son. That means I cut him off from my future inheritance. The judge shall inquire into the son's past. If the son has not committed a grave misdemeanor, so we're going to underline grave misdemeanor and write serious crime. Serious crime. The father shall not disinherit him. Is that fair? Is it fair to the son? Is it fair to the father? Is it fair to society? Does it limit the father's rights? Does it limit the father's freedoms too much? If the son doesn't get any money or land, he's broke, he's homeless when the father dies. Right? Last one, Law 195. If a son has struck his father, his hands shall be cut off. Now, wait a minute. This is a grown son. Okay, so we're going to put in here grown man. This is not a kid. This is a grown man. If a grown man has struck his elderly, and we're going to write elderly, father, his hands shall be cut off. Is that fair? Is it fair to the father? Does this send a strong message to society to take care of the elderly people in your society? Okay? Now, you think about those 4 laws, and you think, are they fair or are they not fair? In general, is he taking care of the families? Does he care about families? Does Hammurabi care about families? All right. We'll stop it there.